Hey everyone, welcome back to the recap of the Walking Dead universe. We are here live every week during the show season to discuss the latest episode. We are covering TWD Dead City episode season 2, episode 3. Why did the Mainlanders cross the river? I'm your host Tamara and I am glad you've joined us today. Special thank you to everyone joining us live and taking time out of your evening to be here. Before we start, please follow us on your favorite social media platforms. The links to find both me and Lisa are in the show notes. And if you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button. You won't want to miss a single episode. Joining me today is show co host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey Tamara, hey everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I am an author. I am also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture.
All righty. So before we get going, we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening live on YouTube, hit us up in the comment section. If you are catching on a replay, you can still comment on YouTube or on Spotify, or even leave us a voicemail message using the SpeakPipe link in the show notes. If you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Exactly. No scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around. Huge spoiler alert for everything, every show in the world through yesterday's episode. And if you're good with that, this is the place for you. And we should just jump to it because this is an interesting episode.
Herschel's a sleeper agent? Okay.
Look, girl, I said they were right. They were right. And look, okay, so someone did comment on what platform was that? YouTube? I don't know. I got to go back and find the comment. And they told us that Herschel is a sleeper and Herschel did set the fire.
Oh.
That's the smoke signal. I
Well,
was like, oh my goodness.
and we spent last episode defending him.
I know. We did. Actually, I'm going to see if I can find the comment. I meant to save it because I'll read it right quick if I can find it quick enough. But
Okay.
yeah, when she wrote that, I said, oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Well, all righty. I'll take your word for it. It's looking like that's true because he seems like he's doing stuff for Dama. So, yeah.
It does. I mean, it's kind of strange because if you think from one point of view, he seems to have gotten closer with Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was very upset with her for leaving and going with them. Then again, I suppose if he's, being a good little sleeper agent, this is what he would do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in I have to wonder, did he lose the toe before or after she started being nice to him?
You know what? I wonder if that was like a part of the plan. She said, hey, you have to do this one more thing, and that includes losing a toe.
Yeah. Uh, except every time we saw him last season, he was tied up in a chair. He was, in some kind of predicament. We never saw him in that room. We never saw any of this other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can forgive us for assuming that he had just been treated badly throughout most of it.
Yeah, right. Okay, I found the comment. Actually, it was left on Spreaker. Colette says, there was a blue cloth used to start the fire, and he used the other part of the blue cloth later to tend to someone's wounds. I have to watch it again to see, but apparently Maggie may have figured it out. So I have to watch again. She has a little shrug emoji.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Colette. I'm not going to go back and look, but you're probably right. Because other people were saying it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you can, like you said, the Dom is saying to him, we just, you're going to have to do some things,
mm-hmm.
but we're going to do this. We're going to, and Maggie did ask him I can't remember, I think it was episode 1 when she was holding up the pictures and saying, what what hold does this woman have on you? What hold does the city have on you?
Yeah. Yeah. And finally, Maggie's like, look, just tell me, what
Hmm.
is it? I need to know what's going on. She let it go for a long time, because they were having problems. But
Hmm.
now it's like, no, no, no. I got to figure this out. And hopefully he tells her the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, sadly though, if Herschel's working for Doma, then he now knows all about the Central Park people who have been trying to stay hidden.
I know. And he could totally just rat them out.
Hmm.
That's so unfortunate.
They were
Hmm.
an odd group. But I can't really. I mean, they seemed, of all the people we have seen on this journey, probably the most peaceful.
Look, they seemed the most normal until the girl died. I'm like, whoa, what are they doing? What are they singing? What are, I'm trying to just be like, well, they have their traditions. And then when she starts pounding on the girl's chest, I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world? And so,
Yeah,
yeah, that whole little thing was very strange. They
yeah.
seemed okay until then.
But we had seen other walkers
Hmm.
that had those holes in their chest.
Yeah, that's previous people from their group that died.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I also thought it was kind of interesting that the walkers don't bother them
yeah, it's weird.
because that gate is open
Yeah.
and
It's
they
like
didn't.
the heart was an offering. They ate it and left. It was so weird.
Right. I've never seen walkers behave quite that way
Mhm.
because I mean they could easily surround that building that they're in,
Mhm.
and yet the walkers don't really seem to go much past that gate.
Right.
And I
It's
don't know if it's
strange.
because they're so quiet, because they really don't make a lot of noise.
Mhm.
But it was just, they have this almost symbiotic relationship, and it's not like, the whisperers where they walked among them or anything.
Right.
They're not trying to, herd them or anything. I mean, they tend to just kind of leave them alone.
Yeah, they're not trying to really deal with them at all. They
Hmm.
just hide them.
Right. So I'm wondering what their magic is to keep them away from their doors.
You think maybe they have something in the walls or around the property or something that
No, because remember when Maggie and that group, they came out of the weeds
yeah.
onto, and there was that metal gate,
Yeah, and it
and
was
then the two
open.
it was open, and the two people stepped out of the building and just stood there. And Maggie and her people followed them inside, but the walkers did not.
Yeah, that was strange. Maybe we'll see them again. I'm not sure if we will, but maybe we will. Maybe they will play a role in helping take down the Dama and her people. Maybe not. I don't
Right.
know. It's
Um,
unclear if we'll see them again this season.
I mean, the Dama might fall, but I'm pretty sure Negan's going to stick around in the city.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And who knows at this point who's I have no idea whose side Herschel would be on at this point.
Not his mother's.
And because he has ties to Maggie and to Negan. He actually has a decent, I don't want to call it a relationship, a repertoire, rapport, I guess, with Negan.
Okay, so I'm starting to question that. Okay, let me tell you. When he shot at him, I said, "Wait
Hmm.
a minute. Does he hate him? He hates his guts now?" And then I was thinking, well, it's definitely not because of his father. If anything, he hates him just because his mother seems so all consumed about him.
Right. But as
So,
close as they were, I'm pretty sure he would have hit him with that gun or
you
with the
think
bullet.
so? You think it was a warning shot, like get out of here kind of
Hmm.
thing?
I think so, yeah. Because
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they were awful close,
They
and
were something. I'll tell you. I don't know.
and Meg taking him out and teaching him how to hunt and everything else. So I
Well, Herschel's different now, though. He's different.
yeah, I don't know. I think he would, I honestly at that distance, I guess he could have missed, but it would be really hard.
Yeah, it would be. I don't know. He looks so angry, though. Like, I guess in that moment, he probably was surprised to see him, even though he knew he was on the island. He was
Hmm.
in Manhattan, but he didn't
Yeah.
expect to see him. But I don't know. Ugh. And then the way Maggie reacted, I was kind of torn with that reaction too. When Herschel came back and disclosed what happened and said, someone helped and it was Negan,
Hmm.
she instantly is like, "You saw him? What did he say? Did he say anything?" I'm like, "What is happening?" Like,
Because I had really hoped that after they had left, that because Maggie seems to have tried to lay to rest her feelings for Negan,
mhm.
but apparently it is a very shallow grave. Yeah.
Mhm. It didn't take much to resurrect it, that's for sure.
No, because I mean there was instant hostility,
Mhm.
and I could see why Herschel would be upset because I mean, and I know the Dama said it to manipulate him. I know this, but she wasn't wrong either. That Maggie had been so consumed with Negan for so long, it didn't leave a lot of room for anything else.
No, she was definitely preoccupied for sure. And apparently she still can be preoccupied pretty easily. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm alive too. Never mind Negan,"
Right.
like, hello, but that just enraged him more, which probably is going to drive him to keep doing whatever he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect that. They got me. I didn't
Yep.
expect it. I don't know. I still find him slightly annoying, to be honest. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, something is wrong with this kid. He's annoying. He's bratty. And being who his mom is, I expected him to, be more aware of his surroundings. Like, how did he get lost? Like, I'm like, how did this fool get lost? He's sitting here trying to draw. I'm like, what is going on? It just seemed like, I don't know, Herschel is just on some other stuff that I don't like at
Yeah.
all.
I mean the drawing I think was to help trying to orientate himself on where he was because that's kind of how he deciphers the world.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that.
And because when he sat down with that paper and pencil, he did say,
Yeah. Where,
"Okay,
where am I?
where am
Yeah.
I?"
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking at, kind of looking around and stuff. And I think, like I said, I think he's trying to kind of map out where they are, or where he is, and to what he knows. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like he got a real good view of the city. He did to an extent, but only from one vantage point.
Right.
So, um, and I don't even know if Central Park was part of that view.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, honestly, you can't even really see inside Central Park like that, I don't think.
Right.
Like, so I don't know if that would have helped him. Maybe if he could have seen the skyline, he would have known which direction to go, but that wouldn't have helped him find his mother and the rest of the people in the park.
Right.
So, I'm not really sure how that would have helped him exactly.
Right. And I being separated from the rest of the group, I, he obviously still has some loyalty to Maggie of some kind
Mhm.
because he didn't ask to how to get out of there because at that point he could have slipped away
Mhm.
and gone to find the Dama.
Yeah.
But instead, he was asking for, have you seen the people I'm with? Have you seen my mom? Have you, you know, and I don't know. He until it happens, I just don't know what to make of him. You know,
Yeah. It's really weird, and I hope that the writers are able to kind of explain it to us in a way, like, show us what happened behind the scenes. So, we kinda got a little bit of how he got here, right? We're
right.
seeing the flashbacks, we could see the manipulation, we could see her talking to him, leave the door open,
Mhm.
all these things to kind of get him to trust her and confide in her and all these other things. Um, so we kinda got a little bit but I want more. I want to see the decision that he made to help
Mm-hmm.
her or to do whatever. Whatever the plan was, I kind of want to see how the plan came together.
Yeah. And I mean, did the Dom? I mean, I guess the Dama voluntarily let him go.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like we have a plan,
Mhm.
and you're going to have to do some things. So I mean, again, I kind of want to know if this is before or after she cut off his toe. Um, I'm
Well, I'm
just
gonna say
curious.
this was before because if she cut off his toe first, there's no way he would have been open to listening to anything she had to say because he would have been too outraged about his toe being cut off.
Well, but
So,
she got that toe fairly early on in season one.
yeah.
So I mean, it would almost have to. I almost want to say after, but and again, all we ever saw in season one was him being held against his will in confinement.
Mhm.
So you know,
I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of it.
hmm
Maybe that's why I said I want a little bit more clarity on that, just a
right.
little.
So do I. And we do know that he was there for quite a while. Um, Probably at least a month,
Mhm.
if not longer, because think time on The Walking Dead is fluid,
Yeah, definitely is.
but there had to have been enough time for Herschel to get taken, and then Maggie to find out what they wanted Negan, and then for her to go find Negan, and then drag him back there, you know, and then go wandering through the city. So I mean, it's that that didn't happen overnight.
No, it didn't. And plus, honestly, that was the view he was dealing with. He's just looking out and drawing. And unless he's some kind of super fast able to draw really fast, his drawing was pretty detailed. I feel like that took weeks and weeks to do, probably.
Maybe
I wish I
because
had a screenshot of that
well,
map.
because he did that one sketch for the historian, and it
Yeah.
didn't
Mm-hmm.
take him but a couple minutes. And while this one is more detailed, I think Herschel's a kind of artist. It probably doesn't take very long.
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll see. And I thought maybe we would get the scene where he got his toe cut off, and
Hmm.
we didn't get it this time, so maybe they're saving it for later.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think that is so creepy though. He's like in that room just staring out into Manhattan looks tore down,
Hmm.
and he's trying to imagine what it could look like.
Yeah. Not what
It's
it
so
was,
creepy.
but what they could make it.
Yeah, because she was sure to point out she hates the past, clearly.
She she has almost a love hate relationship with it, because she's collected the art, and she has the music and the refinements of the past, while at the same time very much hating it.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah.
She's a strange person. And so I'm starting to wonder though, is she like an absolute villain? Like, is she a villain, or is she just a misguided few screws loose villain? You know what I'm saying? Like, is
You know,
she a mastermind?
she kind of I mean, in a lot of ways she kind of reminds me of Alpha.
Mm,
I mean, Alpha wasn't always batshit all the time,
mm-hmm.
and obviously she had enough of charisma, I guess, to hold on to her people and convince them to live this way.
Right.
And I think the Dama's very similar, if different in her approach,
Mm-hmm.
but very manipulative, very controlling, has very definite views of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. We'll have to see. Uh, I am wondering if she's going to be off this season, though. Will we end the season with her demise in some kind of way? or are they going to drag this on? I'm curious about that as well.
I, if I were to venture to guess, I'm going to say that Negan is, he's obviously working to undermine her
Mhm.
and put a wedge between her and the Croat.
Yeah.
So,
Which, by the way, he is doing very effectively. And it's like he had to go back to his old personality. That was not a show. That's a skill.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and
yeah.
the Croat was like, I know why you didn't do that. You draw the line at kids, but don't
Mhm.
worry. We'll kill the kids for you. You don't have to
Yeah.
do that. you know, that's very kind of you. You know,
Like, well, thank you so much.
yes. What a kindness. What a kindness that was.
Mhm. And actually, so when, he talked about going into the park and he's told that other guy to go with him, I said,
Hmm.
"Oh, that guy's not coming back."
Oh yeah, I knew this guy was not coming back.
Yeah, I said, "Sir, you just signed your death warrant. You're gonna die because he will kill you." I thought he would kill him or he would get him killed, and that's exactly what happened.
Although it was kind of impressive that he managed to claw his way out of the walkers enough to cause issues.
So, look, that's another kind of inconsistency with this show. Is have you noticed some people turn really quickly
Yeah.
and some people don't?
Yep.
Like, why is that? Why does this guy get to make his way all the way out of the little wooded area, all the way to Herschel, and like have enough time to have enough brain power left in his head to knock the girl down and jab her in the leg? He's doing all this. Isn't he supposed to be like fading into nothingness? I don't know.
Well, we've seen people last
A very long
a
time.
very, you know, up to a week.
Because wasn't that Christina who lived a very long, made it a very long time after she was bitten?
And so did Carl.
Uh huh.
Carl
But
made it.
then other people turn quick like that.
Yeah. Carl made it almost a week, and they've had other characters that have. And I don't. But again, I mean, it's an infection. So
If it fits the plot.
yeah, and if it fits the plot, but
Mhm.
it's it's like probably along the same lines of like measles or any other kind of contagious disease. Some people it hits them really hard and very fast, and sometimes it takes longer.
Mm, mhm.
And their
Okay.
illness lasts longer, and others get over it really quickly. I think it's just every person is slightly different, and everyone carries the virus, and not all metabolisms are the same.
Yeah.
And
Well,
this
that's a nice way to break that down. Mhm. Although I'm not even sure they even thought of it like that. They just
probably not. And I mean, he was a big guy too, so
Uh-huh.
the bigger they are, the harder they're bitten. I don't know.
I
Um,
don't know. The slower they turn, I guess. I
yeah.
don't know. Hmm.
Although that was a really good javelin throw on Negan's part, I will say that.
Yeah, it definitely was. He saved the kid as
Yeah,
he yeah. He's like, "Not the kids." That's an interesting line to draw, but I'm glad he has one. He needs
yeah.
one. At least that.
Well, and we've seen that back since Carl.
Mhm.
And that was always one of his things. He could be very cruel to adults, but you know, we've never really seen him be evil to children. He was good to
No.
Carl. He was good to Judith. He was good to the other kids that were in his sphere there. So,
Yeah, he's never locked any of them away or did
mhm.
anything crazy like that. He.
Yep,
Although the way he talks to them is friendly, but I don't know, it's manipulative as well.
it
I think
is.
so.
I mean, I'm not saying he was always a good person. You know,
You're like, "I didn't say that now."
I mean, and he
Yeah.
did try to do to Carl what the Dama is doing to Herschel.
Mhm.
Try to sway Carl over to his view of things and turn him against Rick, and bring him over to the dark side because they had cookies.
Right.
And so you can see there's that parallel between him and Carl and Dama and Herschel.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I could see the parallel. So, what did you think about the time spent in the park while before they found, what was it, a little cafe or something those people were hiding out in? Like the interactions between them as they were trying to figure out what to do. I thought it was kind of comical. Like they were just had different opinions on what to do.
Mm-hmm.
The colonel lady, I can't remember what her station is. She's like, we still need to do what we're here to do.
Yeah, and apparently her idea was to take them over by force.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's go back to Carl real quick. So Karina says he literally was going to bash Carl's head in before Shiva attacked him. You know that is true. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
vaguely. Yeah.
That is true. So he was going to actually hurt a child. He was going to.
Mm.
I don't know. Very inconsistent. Inconsistent, Negan. Okay. Anyway, so they have different goals here. They're like, we need to find safety. We need to rest. We need to get out of here. And Delay's like, hey, we still need to do what we came here for.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, she was going to use their morning funeral as a way to take over by force this
Mm-hmm.
community.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, do you really think you're just going to take over these people and make them do what you want?
That's
Really,
Delulu.
really? You know, well, we have medicine, we have electricity, we have all these things. And I don't know, she really looked around, but these were not an unhappy people. They were
No.
quiet,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
I
No,
mean,
they weren't.
well, until one girl died. Don't get me wrong on that one. And they have very specific funeral rites, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really not a terrible thing because in this whole decimated world, the deaths of people are something that almost no one handles well, and there is something to be said about having funeral rites,
Right.
that can be comforting and
Even if
and
they're weird.
even if they're weird, and be felt as a community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big part, that to be felt as a community, that and everyone kind of said goodbye to her, and there was this, even as she was dying, and even after death there was still that connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
true. I don't know. And even what's his face? He was like, "Oh, why don't you join with us? We can exchange. We can help you." And the leader was like, "We don't need anything at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
We're what can we have that the earth does not provide, basically, right?
right,
That nature does not provide for us. They don't want anything to do with anybody.
uh-uh,
They want to just stay hidden and mind their business."
right,
And so, like Maggie said, hey, if you want to listen to me, just leave them be. Just leave these people alone.
right. Well, we could offer them stuff that they don't want
Yeah. Yeah.
and have no need of. It's not like they were desperately searching for help.
Mhm.
I mean, if they really wanted power, all they'd have to do is just go to the Dama.
Yeah. I mean, the
They
only reason they even caught wind of them is because they were being too noisy.
Right.
They were like, you guys were being so loud. Of course we saw you. Of course.
Yeah.
Stumping through the park like no one's around. Mm.
Although it is kind of funny that all these really violent groups completely surround them. And all of them are afraid to go into the park. And the most peaceful people we found so far, here they sit in the middle of the Central Park,
Yeah.
you know, in their contentment and everything else in non-violent ways.
Well, it's something about their energy. It's something they are doing that keeps those walkers from attacking them.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting thing. I mean, I would really like to know more about that because I did. Because even Maggie came out and she's watching as the girl reanimates and them eating the heart and everything else. And as soon as they were done eating the heart, and
He
she
walked
just
away.
stood up and they all walked out.
Yeah, that was very strange to me, and I did not know what to make of it. I'm like, they didn't even turn toward Maggie, and usually they would smell or hear, they would do something and they would see her like she was
Right.
right there.
Well, and they weren't all that far away when the one lady brought the heart and set it down because they were, as soon as she stepped away, they were there.
Yeah,
They could have just as easily gone for her,
right.
but they didn't.
No. Yeah, we've got to see that group again because there's more things to learn about them. I mean, they've opened this world and now I'm curious about it.
Yeah. And now watch, we get nothing else from them.
Like, you thought that was interesting? Oh, too bad.
Too
Oh.
bad. You shall suffer and know nothing. You
Yeah.
know, we're done with them.
Yeah, just forget about it. Oh my goodness. Well, honestly, there I kind of did not think okay, so while we're talking about all the things that happened in this episode, when I was watching the episode, Lord, why did I think this was so boring? I don't know why. I had to keep rewinding Herschel's parts. My brain just could not compute the words coming out of his mouth. I don't know. It was all of his parts I just found so dull. And I'm like, I don't know if it's the actor, if it's I don't understand because everything else seemed okay, but for some reason, some of this just was so dull to me.
I'm gonna go with you just don't like I you don't like the kid. You don't like the
You
uh
think so?
yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, this should be interesting. But you know me, I maybe I just don't like a lot of kids on screen, period.
Well, you did the same, when a while back, whenever Negan was on, you had a very hard time concentrating.
Ugh.
Yeah, see?
Like I have zero interest. And it's true, at the beginning of this conversation, I did say I find Herschel annoying. And maybe that's the problem. So his scenes come on and I'm like, ugh.
You did the same thing with RJ.
Did I? Oh
Yes,
no. But look, that kid could not act though. I'm sorry.
I get that and I get it, but yeah, you had a real hard time focusing on any scene that he was in.
Like no, he could not act. That poor kid. I'm sure he's better now. He's much older.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. I'm gonna try to, give Herschel's character a fair chance. But I
Mhm.
don't know, just something in this episode. I'm like, we got so this was a very Herschel centric episode.
Mhm.
A lot about him,
Yes.
which
And
I
I mean, and
didn't love.
it wasn't just flashbacks, it was, what he was doing now and what
Mhm.
was going on then.
Mhm.
And again, we got a lot of this detail that we had no idea about from when he was taken before. My only issue with it is it doesn't go with the narrative they had last season of what was going on with Herschel because every time we saw him, he was locked up in a room and it wasn't that room.
Right.
It wasn't even the room that the Dama came to him in initially.
I don't know. Maybe it was just the progression of the
Capture.
brainwashing, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we're just going to move you along. Your room gets a little better each time. Look, now you have a view. Look, we're friends. I'm giving you
Mm-hmm.
candy with walnuts instead of peanuts.
Right.
you know, those kind of things. Maybe it was just like by design. It was like a mind game.
Right. And she gave him a room in an elevator of all things, a freight elevator.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Mm.
cool, but I got to tell you, I don't know that I would trust it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But I mean, like he laid in that bed for a long time before he decided to get up, grab a fork, and see what's going on out there. He was like
Right.
unsure if he should do it, but
Mm-hmm.
he did. And I think she planted those walkers there for him.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
because she was, as soon as he got into trouble, she was there.
Yeah.
I think she was curious to see if he could even make it out of there on his own.
Yeah, like, can he even defend himself? What will he do? Like,
Right.
it's, again, a test, like, she's testing and pushing limits, and then, "Hey, I'm gonna help you, I'm here to help rescue you," it
Mhm.
was all a setup from A to Z.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, she was grooming him,
Mhm.
and she was, with the encouragement and the, oh, you have a vision and you can help me do this, and you look at the city, and I mean, and some of it again, I'm sure there are sprinkles of truth in it, because the best manipulations, the best lies have truth.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I think she is impressed with his artistic skills. They are impressive.
Yeah, they are.
And she does have a deep affinity towards the arts, music and art. I mean, you saw the paintings
Mhm.
and the sculptures and the music that she plays, and she very much likes that Baroque kind of feel to things.
She's got that, like, no lie, she's got that I am a part of the, Flowers in the Attic character list. Like, she
Mhm.
could be the grandmother in the Flowers in the Attic.
Well, I could see that.
Yeah, like, she's very creepy in her style and all of that
Hmm.
manipulation. Yeah, I'm like, okay, her character is very recognizable, I'll say,
Yeah.
nothing special about her, but that's just how she is.
Well, and I'm also wondering if part of her interest in him is also his connection to Negan, because she very much wants Negan firmly at her side and
Right.
under her control. So, and she knows that he is protective of Herschel.
Mhm.
But
Wait
I
till he
will say,
finds out what she's been doing to him and what he's been helping her with. He's gonna be so mad.
oh God, yeah. And there's also, I'm kind of curious if this was part of their plan. I mean, I'm sure she wasn't, when she sent him back, there was not expecting an invasion per se. It's not
Mhm.
really much of an invasion. It's 25 people. Come on. Um, this is barely an expedition at this point.
Right.
Actually, they don't even have 25 anymore, because they've lost at least what, three, four people.
Yeah, it's a few of them, not
Yeah,
very many.
and but I think that if Herschel's the one that lit the flare, then it kind of surprises me that they were so willing to sink that boat with Herschel in it.
Well, okay, so that doesn't surprise me because he's just collateral damage, I think. I think she's gonna use him until she can't use him anymore.
That's fair.
So wherever he just dies out from, she's like, "It's a loss, sorry,
Yeah.
move on."
Although she has put a lot of effort into converting him.
Yeah, but you're right, though. If she really wanted him to, like, for the long game, whatever her long game is,
Hmm.
then why would she let them destroy the boat that he was on? That doesn't
Right.
really make sense. Not really.
Not really.
Okay, does anything that these writers write make sense really? Half
Honestly,
the
no.
time?
I mean, when we really start to pick it apart, I mean,
No.
the internal logic does start to collapse.
This happens every time on the TWD shows. Every time, never fail.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
There just needs to be a few cardinal rules. You
Right.
know.
It's like they need, once you create your rules for your world, you have to, now the rules can be whatever you want, right? It's your
Right.
fictional world. But once you create those rules, you have to abide by them.
Exactly. I mean, in any good fantasy, in any good fiction book, you can make up whatever bizarro thing you want,
Mhm.
as and people will accept it as long as it's consistent.
Right.
And that is the one thing that The Walking Dead has struggled with, is their consistency.
Absolutely. And I think that's always gonna be their issue.
Yeah.
Whatever future spinoffs they're planning, whatever it is, they're always going to have that problem because they've had so many shows and it's always been the problem.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning, again, when they were following the comics, they did okay because the comics had that internal consistency.
Mhm.
But once they got out on their own, then they kind of started making up their own rules,
Right.
and they've changed the rules
Mhm.
from show to show, even.
Right.
So it's, yeah, it does get frustrating because it would be, these shows could have been so much better if they had just been internally consistent among all the shows.
Mhm.
If something is true here, then it's going to be true there.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know. The left hand isn't talking to the right.
Mm-hmm.
They don't live off the same rules and I don't know. It's whatever. I still think so far I'm still enjoying this season more than last season, I think.
Okay, well, that's good.
So that's good. But
And I will say, I
yeah.
do I have enjoyed this show.
Uh-huh.
And I did actually, I didn't, drag through like you did on any of the scenes. Um, so I will say that this is a lot better than what they had done with, Fear the Walking Dead, and then Dead World, whatever. I can't even remember the name of that.
World Beyond?
Yeah, that one. It's just not worthy of remembering its name. It was awful.
Yeah, it was bad. It
It was
was.
awful, and they had too many broken rules, and those kids were awful, just awful. But anyway,
Okay, look, yay. Look, some kids you don't like. Yay. It's not just
yeah,
me.
no, it's not just you, but no, I mean it. But again, it's that internal narrative needs to be there, and it's still mostly there. So if you don't think too hard about any of this, it goes pretty well. Just don't think too hard on
Just
it.
don't think critically about it.
Exactly.
But to me, that is like, okay, that's hard to do because even when I review books, right? Anything where I have to turn my brain off to enjoy it, I think something is wrong with that.
Right.
I feel like you can have a vibe and a plot. You can
Hmm.
have a vibe and things make sense.
Right. And I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah, if it's all vibes and other, I don't know. I have a hard time with enjoying, fully enjoying and engaging with things that I have to like kind of almost just, I'll use this analogy, kind of like, you know how you squint your eyes a little bit and things become fuzzy?
Hmm.
And then it's like, it's better because you can't see all the things. I don't, like that.
Well, and I am going to say this, until we have some resolution on what exactly is going on
Yeah.
with Herschel. I mean, the ambiguity of what is going on in his brain,
Mhm.
because he seemed perfectly I mean, not perfectly content, but he seemed pretty happy back with him and Maggie, when they were out hunting the deer, and they were having seemed to be developing this closer relationship, and he was working on it as well as her.
Mhm.
It wasn't just Maggie making an effort.
Yeah.
But with this flashback, now it's was this all an act to lull people into a false sense of security, and if so, to what end? What is the Dama planning on invading the mainland and wanting information about what's going on? Or I'm and there's this part of me going, is Herschel the one that told her that they were coming?
Maybe.
But he didn't know until they showed up, so they wouldn't have
Right.
had a lot of warning.
That's true. She probably has a couple of spies.
Right.
I mean, if she's smart, she would have a few.
Oh yeah. I mean, and obviously there's got to be more than Herschel, because he's young. He doesn't really have privy to a lot of information, and he's probably watched closer than most adults.
Yeah. And I think it's safe to assume that if you're gonna kind of enlist a kid, that there's only so much they can actually do.
Right.
Hmm. I don't know. Herschel might be able to do more than others. Obviously, he just does whatever he wants.
Right. So, I mean, I do want. I I hope we get a little more clarity on what's going on with Herschel
Mm-hmm.
soon. I don't want it to drag out.
Right. So one thing I would like to give them props on, I think the scenes where the walkers were in the tall grass,
Hmm.
those were good. That was fun.
Yeah, and I did. I will say when we kind of saw glimpses of those people in the reads,
Mm-hmm.
I did get for a second their whisperer vibes.
Yeah.
Very very quiet. You know, they were just kind of blending in with the scenery, and um, it also kind of reminded me of deer.
Oh, dear.
Well,
Hmm.
you know how deer just kind of
They sit there, don't move.
they
They,
kind of blend in and they can be
yeah.
very still, and apparently there's tigers.
Yeah, apparently. But you know what though? That one scene where Herschel, I think it was Herschel, he was like looking out somewhere and that girl was behind him, like in
Hmm.
that on that hill, and he didn't see her. I was like, when I saw her sitting there, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't see her at first, and then all of a sudden it was like this blaring, oh my God, there's someone sitting there watching him. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
They had, I think, an opportunity to really make these people really scary,
Oh yeah.
and they didn't. They chose not to go that route.
Yeah. Um, but it yeah, I mean South Park at this point is or South Park, Central Park. Um, yeah, because they had the zoo there and everything. They had monkeys and also they have all sorts of things in Central Park Zoo,
Yeah.
and I'm sure not everything survived. I haven't seen any giraffes. Have you seen any giraffes?
No, or elephants, or
I don't think they have elephants at
they
that
don't.
zoo.
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I'm not familiar with that zoo. I haven't been.
It's a smaller one. I know that, but
Mm.
I do know they have monkeys and big cats and things.
Oh,
So
still, even big cats. I don't
yeah,
know.
heard when
Yeah.
Maggie was out there looking for Herschel, she heard
Yeah.
a big cat.
I wouldn't want to be out there.
Yeah,
Like, I'm sure that cat hasn't eaten in a while. Not anything substantial. They might come and tear your limbs off.
yeah,
But they've left those people alone as well.
yeah. They're magical.
Yeah, something. There's something.
They're magic.
They manage to just blend into the background, and everything and everyone just leaves them alone.
Hmm. Oh, I know. They're elves. That's it.
They're elves.
They're elves. I mean, that would explain everything.
Mm,
You know,
hmm. I mean, hell, why not throw that plot line in there? Why the hell not?
I mean, why not? You know,
Yeah.
um, but their oneness with nature, their blending in with the forest, their quietness.
Yeah, very Fae like. Mm-hmm.
So, but overall, I mean, like I said, legitimately, I did enjoy this episode for all that we're tearing it apart. Um, I did enjoy the pacing of it. Um, I thought, watching the power struggle with Negan, you know, juxtaposed over these very peaceful people going, "We are one with the earth." It was just, it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
So, in getting a little bit more of what was going on with Herschel back in the city, while insightful, was still a bit confusing. And
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure that is going to, because they spent so much time showing that. I'm sure in another episode or two that's going to have some significance.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope, right? I don't want to assume anything when it
Right.
comes to.
But that was a lot of time spent building that up for them to never touch on it again.
I know it was. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm feeling hopeful for the rest of the season still. I think
Mhm.
that next episode should be good. And like I didn't dislike the episode. Overall, it was good, even though I did have some pacing issues and some boredom issues here and there.
Yeah.
I think, it was visually nice to look at, all the stuff in the park
Mhm.
was cool, and
They actually filmed that in Central Park.
Yeah, I saw they were like moving the grass around and
Hmm.
stuff.
And they planted some.
Yeah, like that's
So,
interesting. But
hmm,
yeah, I mean, it was a decent, I would say it was a decent episode for sure. I think it's on par with this season so far. So,
hmm. Oh, and you know, let's prepare ourselves for the Maggie meltdown if she finds out that Herschel has gone to the dark side because they had cookies, or at least peanut brittle.
look,
Yeah.
she's gonna try to kill that woman.
Oh God, we knew she was going to try and kill her before, but now,
Hmm.
you know.
She's got to save Herschel, so she's just gonna kill her to take care of
Hmm.
it. Although that might turn him against her in a bad way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how he shakes this off because I'm
Hmm.
sure he won't stay like that. You know, they
Well, and
wouldn't do that.
he is a very damaged kid.
Hmm.
Um, Maggie did not have to put him through all the things that she put him through. She made choices to leave them out in the wilderness and to keep them unprotected, and instead of staying at Hilltop or going back to any of the settlements.
Hmm.
She chose that to wander and subject him to this world in a way that she really didn't have to. Um, he could have been brought up more like Judith with this loving community around them. Um, and to take him out and drag him around and then not give him the love he needed, I'm sure is very painful for him.
Honestly, he might have turned out more adjusted had he grown up with Judith and the rest of the kids. Like, leave him with them until you
Right.
figure your life out and then come back.
Hmm. Because I mean, Judith, for all intents and purposes here, is very well adjusted for her environment.
Yeah.
She's not hateful. She can be kind and she can be vicious. It just depends on the circumstances. She is a survivor. And honestly, she's more of a survivor than Herschel is.
Yeah, she definitely is.
I'm
But
pretty sure if she
Mich-
had been taken by the Croat, she
oh,
probably would have figured out how to get out of there.
that woman would be missing an eye or something
Yeah.
because there's no way. But let's remember Judith had a very different mother, very different
Oh
night
yeah.
and day.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I mean, it's that Herschel has lived in uncertainty
Mhm.
and loneliness for most of his life.
Mhm.
And he hasn't had other kids to play with. He hasn't had other adults. Every adult in his life has been very transient
Mhm.
because she's never stayed in one place long enough for him to develop good, strong bonds with anyone other than her.
Right.
And she didn't exactly encourage those strong bonds between the two of them. I mean, she's overprotective of him to almost mania,
Mhm.
but it's a weird almost possessiveness rather than a love.
It's kind of just misguided, I feel like.
Hmm.
She needs a therapist so bad.
Oh, dude, she needs a therapist.
Yeah. She needs one very bad.
So I mean, I can't say that Herschel being beguiled by the Dama is unlikely because of the way she was treating him with kindness and understanding and empathizing with his situation and how lonely he is, and then appealing to his vanity with his art and all those things. I mean, the validation that she was giving him, he has got to have been craving for a very long time.
Yeah.
um so Maggie won't see it that way, don't get me wrong, but it's not, this poor kid has had a rough life.
He has had a rough life, and I kind of want to give him a little pass on that because of that, but my goodness.
Yeah.
Ugh. I think he's going to be if they do a spinoff with, some of these kids as adults.
Hmm.
He's going to be a very interesting adult character. He's going to be broody.
Not
And
quite as competent.
yeah, he's going to be, third string of the
Yeah,
team. But, you know, he might be entertaining to watch as an adult.
yeah. I wish we saw more Glenn in him.
More who? Glenn?
Glenn,
Oh, yeah.
that maybe not quite. I don't know if optimism's the right word, or almost perkiness. But Glenn had that.
Glenn had charisma.
Yeah, he really did. That's the word I was searching for. He really did.
Yeah.
Um, and he was kind.
Yes. And Herschel just has a bad attitude.
Yeah, and I mean, and it could just be teenage angst.
Mhm.
I don't care if there's an apocalypse or not. I'm pretty sure teenagers everywhere the world over are still terrible in their teens. You know,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I just again I think I kind of feel sorry for him. Um, but he's very unpredictable right now, very unreliable.
Mhm. He's very unreliable. I agree with you. I co-sign, and I just think Maggie's gonna lose it when she figures out how deep he is into things with the Dama.
Oh
Obviously, it's
yeah,
gonna be a lot more than what we've seen.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's gonna be so mad. Actually, her and Negan will probably gang up to take her out because of this.
They
To
will be on the same page
Yeah, they'll be on
across
the
the
same side
board.
again for one more thing. We gotta be on the same side for this.
The ties that bind and gag.
Mhm.
Um, so anyway, I think we should wrap this up because I have a major storm coming in and my lights are starting to flicker.
Oh, no. Okay, well, yeah, it's our time anyway. I have nothing more to share.
All right.
All right. So it's been a good one. Thanks for listening to this entire episode. We appreciate you for doing that. And thanks to everyone who listened live. And special thanks to Karina who left comments during this live chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening because we'll be back again next week and you want to get that notification. Also, if you enjoyed the discussion, please leave a 5-star rating wherever you are listening. That will really help other TWD fans find us. And yeah, we want more people to find us. So
Yeah,
appreciate you in advance for doing that. And I think that's it. We're going to
I
call
think
it.
it is.
All right. Have a good one. Take care, guys.
Bye bye.